Hi, PerspectaWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Wednesday, November 14th. The first significant winter storm of the season is headed for the Mid-Atlantic region and the Northeast U.S. Coastal storm will intensify during the day on Thursday into Thursday night and then slide to the north and east early on Friday. Precipitation could very well reach the D.C. metro region by 4 or 5 a.m. into Philadelphia metro region during the mid-morning hours, and then probably midday to early afternoon in New York City. This happens to be a snowfall map from last night's European model run. Map available at weathermodels.com. Gives the general idea that I favor here on many levels. First of all, in the big cities, I'm expecting anywhere from a coating to a couple of inches in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. In the immediate northern and western suburbs, 2 to 4 inches right now is my thinking here. And as the European model suggests, the heaviest snowfall looks like it'll be across interior higher elevation locations, and the least, nothing at all really down along the coast here, but perhaps as much as a foot or so. This is again from the European model run using a 10-to-1 liquid to snow ratio. It's probably not going to be that high. A little bit of a warm layer in the lower part of the atmosphere is liable to reduce the 10-to-1 ratio and probably reduce these amounts here. Nonetheless, the big picture here is heavy snow accumulation in the interior higher elevation locations of the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. The least amount of frozen precipitation at the coast, and the big cities of D.C., Philadelphia, and New York City certainly look like they will get some accumulations of snow and ice in this first winter weather event of the season. Well, let's get into the details now by first looking at the surface map. First of all, cold high pressure situated over southern Canada right now. That is a key player here, and we'll talk about this all winter long in terms of the favorable setup for snow in the I-95 corridor region is when there's a strong cold high pressure system right in this region right here, sitting in this area. And in fact, by tomorrow morning, that is exactly where this high pressure system will exist. That helps lock in the cold air mass that has moved in this morning here into the Mid-Atlantic region. Without that, cold air would quickly retreat, but with its strong cold high pressure system, it kind of sustains the cold air, and that is of course a necessary ingredient for snow in the big cities of D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. That cold front passed through, and again, northwest winds right now ushering in cold and dry air. Dew points way down in the lower 20s in many parts of the Mid-Atlantic region right now. No doubt about it, even though we're only in mid-November, this is a cold air mass for any time of the year, and it's setting the stage for the first significant winter weather event for much of the northeast U.S. and mid-Atlantic. Well, let's take a look now at some forecast maps. I'm using the higher resolution NAM model here, the 12-kilometer version of the NAM from 0Z. First, I want to look at the 500 millibar level, because this is a key player here as well. We have a deep upper level low sitting over Texas this morning. Let's push through and watch what happens. We're slowly moving to the north and east over the next 12 to 24 hours or so. Very intense upper level low, and when that thing moves overhead in the Mid-Atlantic region, that'll be tomorrow night into very early Friday. Could be all kinds of wild weather going on with gusty winds, maybe a rumble of thunder, and maybe a change back from rain to snow and sleet in parts of the I-95 corridor. Here we are now into early Friday morning, and it moves right on top of the I-95 corridor region. Again, that'll be a very interesting time period, late Thursday night, early Friday morning, when that upper level feature moves right on top of the region. It could be rumble of thunder. Colder air could wrap right back into the system after a changeover from frozen precipitation to rain that is likely to take place earlier in the day on Thursday and Thursday night. But once this thing moves on over, it certainly can cause enough instability to pull in some colder air, and rain could change back to snow late Thursday night into Friday morning, even into the big cities along the I-95 corridor. Well, let's now walk through the Zero-Z NAM in terms of the surface forecast maps. Again, I like to look at the NAM model here as compared with the GFS, for example. A little bit higher resolution than some of the global models, and this kind of requires a higher resolution model here. We have a cold air damming situation when that high pressure is sitting over northern New England, pumping cold air in the lower levels of the atmosphere on the east side of the Appalachians. It's a high resolution type of event here, and I think this model has a little better handle on things. A lot of Gulf moisture setting up here over the southeastern U.S. This storm system will have tons of moisture with it, and you combine that with a cold air mass in place, and somebody's really going to get walloped with frozen precipitation on the order of a foot of snow possible in some interior higher elevation locations. Here we are now into the early morning hours, maybe 5, 6, 7 a.m., right around the D.C. metro region. It looks like snow, perhaps some ice mixed in, reaches D.C. Early, just before daybreak, perhaps, and then into southeastern Pennsylvania, south central Pennsylvania by mid-morning, or snow most likely in the form of snow, and that continues as snow north of the Mason-Dixon line. The frozen precipitation changes over to rain in the D.C. metro region, although the northern and western suburbs will hang on longer with that cold air, and therefore frozen precipitation will last longer into the afternoon hours in the northern and western suburbs of D.C. Snowing pretty well at this time, mid to late afternoon up across New York City. Even in that region there will be a changeover. I'm talking about the immediate I-95 corridor region. Another feature here, notice kind of a dry slot here setting up. That occasionally happens with coastal storms. There may be a dry slot, precipitation slackens off or even ends completely for a while, but then the upper low feature moves overhead and maybe produces some more precipitation. That is very well what could happen later on tomorrow night. It could be a dry period for a little while, but that may not be the end of it. In fact, look at this right here. This is associated with that very vigorous upper level feature here, and once the dry slot moves on to the north and east, that upper level low moves overhead, and it's going to be dynamic. That means could be gusty winds, could be some thunder, cold air could wrap right back into the system, could have some rain changing back to snow or sleet, even in the big cities of D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, late Thursday night into early Friday morning. This is early Friday morning. The storm sitting right on top of the Delmarva Peninsula. Very heavy snow at this time across interior higher elevation locations of central Pennsylvania and all the way down to just north and west of the D.C. metro region. So if there is in fact a dry slot that forms early tomorrow night, that is not going to be the end of the system. Wait until this upper level feature, which kind of reinvigorates the surface low pressure area as well. But let's keep moving forward here. Here we are now by early Friday morning, all of it consolidating at this time along the Mid-Atlantic coastline and then pulling away to the north and east. Here we are by Friday afternoon. Very well could become partly sunny Friday afternoon, a bit milder with that sunshine returning. But before that happens, the first significant winter storm of the season for much of the Mid-Atlantic region and Northeast U.S., even into the big cities of D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. I expect some accumulations, perhaps a couple of inches in the big cities, 2 to 4 inches in the immediate northern and western suburbs, even more than that in interior higher elevation locations of the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast U.S. Stay tuned for updates later today from PerspectaWeather.com. I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.